Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It is Sunday, the 27th of December, 2020, and this is my weekly wrap up. It seems like it was an easy week, but it also kind of seems like it was a crazy week. I think part of it is because of the holiday. It means that there was kind of less scheduled stuff, like people canceled or didn't want to schedule because it was holiday week, but there were also things that still needed to be done, and there were some extras and some due dates. Like, I don't know, but it felt like a weird week in a year of weird weeks. So for work, not a lot of scheduled patients and stuff, but I had a couple of extra meetings and a couple of extra, not work things, but work for volunteer things. So for example, with the Rochester Teen Book Festival, we are in the process of requesting or figuring out who our bookseller partner is going to be for 2021. So there was some work to do with the organization around that. And for another group that I volunteered to provide some feedback for, that feedback is due on 31st. So I started some of that. And for, there's a group of people locally that I work with, sometimes kind of on the side, and they have this opportunity for me to collaborate with them. And so there's been increased discussion about what that means and all of that stuff. So it felt like there was a lot getting done and a lot to do, even though it also felt a little bit less, I don't know, structured or something. I don't know. It was a week. It was another week. And we have yet another week coming before we get to 2021. I also got to do an interview for the news. So they were looking for someone to talk about the increased stress and possible mental health implications of COVID and holiday stress and all that sort of stuff. So that was kind of cool. Here's the last bit of wisdom from that interview. Remember that we've been through hard things before, that this is really tough and lots of people are really struggling, and we've made it through 100% of our hard days. And when we're able to be together and problem solve together and collaborate, we're going to get through this together.
Good thing to end on. I like it. All right.
So it's kind of cool to get to do things like that because of my job and because of where I work and things like that. So that's cool. What else happened last week? I went to the library. So our local library is now on pickup only. You can make requests from the catalog, and you can also still do holds and stuff, but you have to schedule a time to come and pick up your stuff. And then they pull the stuff for you, check the books out on your card, and then leave it on a table for people to just come and pick up rather than having patrons come all the way into the library. So it's kind of sad because I miss the library and going in so much, but also a month ago, before we went back into a stricter lockdown, you could go in, but there wasn't anywhere to sit or hang out, and there were fewer computers. So that was also a little bit sad. But I'm so glad that we still have access to the library and the library's books, because for a little while, when all of the pandemic social distancing first started, the libraries just shut down entirely. And so that was the worst sad. The sad plus no access phase of the pandemic was probably my least favorite. So I'm glad that we still have some of that. Anything else interesting over the week? I mean, there was Christmas, duh. So one of the things that I got for Christmas, besides a little stack of stickers, which obviously I love because I'm a sticker fool, is a little shelf shaped like a coffin, which my older daughter says fits my vibe. And she is not wrong about that. So I love it to death. I didn't even plan that. And I'm going to figure out how to put it in my shot back here. I'm probably going to take this stuff down. Maybe I'll leave it up until January 1st. I also got a new lunchbox. Beetlejuice. Love it. From my younger kid. So I'm excited about that. I also really like black and white stripes. I think separate from Beetlejuice, but maybe it's related. It's hard to say. So extra. And the sandworm. Love. And then I also got, I usually do not recommend that people buy books for me because one, I've often read popular books that people think I would want to read because they're usually right. But I was reading the compendium of the Junji Ito spiral horror series, and my partner saw me reading that and knew that that was the only one of Ito's that I had read and that I really liked it. It was actually, that book was my wrap-up book for last week. If you want to check that out, I'll try to remember to add it to the cards. So he got me this one. And that other one was a checkout from the library, but it was the same style and look. So I'm wondering if there's a set of Ito's that I need to purchase or be gifted. My birthday is in February. So I'm going to check that out. This one is The Death Stench Creeps. So I'm sure you'll be hearing about this one. I'm adding it to my January TBR. I also did something a little bit different yesterday. The video that I posted was about my pop collection. So check that out if you're interested in Funko Pops. So the book summary for the week is going to be Deathless Divide by Justina Ireland. Yeah. So this is the sequel to Dread Nation. And I read Dread Nation too long ago, I'll be honest with you, to give you a really great summary, except to say that the speculative historical fiction portion of the story is that a zombie outbreak interrupts the Civil War. So we're still in that time period of North versus South, and the dead start coming back to life. And Black people, as you might imagine, given kind of the culture and history surrounding Civil War times, are used as not bait, but maybe for bait for some people, but there are schools that pop up to train Blacks to be like killing machines for the dead that are called shamblers in this world. So our main character, Jane, has been enrolled in this school where she is going to be a attendant. So there are these young women who are trained to help protect young white women when they're out and about from shamblers. So that all happened. Jane, of course, because she's our protagonist and we love her, she's very smart, but she's fierce. She's not necessarily a compliant, go along with what people tell you to do kind of person. And the first book, she's training, but also learning about some nefarious plans of the town where she lives and figures out what she's going to do about that. And it was a great book. Totally recommend it. The sequel, so this isn't going to be spoiler free for the first one. So bye if you have to go because you don't want to hear about this. Bye. One of the things I love about sequels, or that I really like that happens when you're reading a sequel, is that even if you don't remember the first book, there'll be a reference to the first book and you'll go, oh yeah, okay, I know what that's about. So I don't know that you have to have read the first one to read this one, but it is a continuation of the story. So the town where Jane lives falls in the first one, falls to shamblers, and Jane and a group of survivors are trying to figure out where they're going to go, what the next town is going to be. And Kate, who is one of the other attendants, she's the one with a bright complexion who can pass for white. And she lives among white people most of the time, even though she's still an attendant. So they're on the run with a small group, including Jackson, who was a on and off again beau. And Jane learns more about his history and his past and why he's, you know, gung-ho to get back to where he's coming from. And then there's a big loss, and they get to this other town where, again, things are not quite what they seem. And Jane is also being accused of different crimes based on what she had done over in the other town that fell to the Shamblers. And the book, I believe the series is going to be a duology. I don't think it's going to keep going, but I didn't check into that. This finishes the storyline. And Jane becomes very single-mindedly focused on revenge and justice, really, for the system, within the system that has created disposable blackness for the benefit of white longevity. So, and then when she gets to where she thinks she's going, she's not sure about it anymore. So I would definitely recommend this book, especially if you read Dread Nation, obviously. I love Justina Ireland's writing. The storytelling is great. The world building is great. I totally know what's happening throughout the whole thing. I would also recommend it for general zombie apocalypse interested folks. Some of that historical fiction related to race relations folks. There's some science kind of stuff because there's a scientist who's trying to find a vaccine for Shambler bites. So that's kind of an interesting element to the story as well. Especially now, given what's happening with vaccines and some hesitancy around that and how we decide that things are safe and stuff like that. So all in all, top-notch sequel, top-notch series, would recommend. Okay, I think that's it. I've decided to do a trailer for my channel, so I'm going to try and do that next. If you watch my channel and you see that trailer, well, you probably won't, right? Because trailers are only visible to people who don't subscribe. I don't really know how that works, but you know I'm always open to you guys telling me ways that could make me look less lost in general. All right, y'all. Happy Sunday. We're in the home stretch of 2020, and I will catch you on the next one.